I've been on a mission and we are talking again today about self-talk. Why? Because I've been thinking about it a lot, because a lot of you guys, when I posited the question, was keeping you small, there were so many answers that were very much related to self-talk. So I want to just give you some quick little reminders about self-talk. I think these things are very important, so we're going to talk about it. One of the things that happens, and when self-talk tends to happen, is when you have time to sit down and think, oftentimes a little voice in your head turns on. And when that voice in your head turns on, instead of living in the moment, okay, let's give an example. You're sitting down, I live by the beach, so I'm sitting on the beach, I'm staring at the ocean. A lot of times people sit there and you stare at the ocean, you start thinking not necessarily about positive things. You start ruminating, worrying, catastrophizing, assuming when the next shoe is going to drop, if you will. And what these things are is you're processing all of these what ifs because your mind is going back to something that didn't work out the way you wanted it to work out. So it tends to remind you of that. Okay. So every time you sit down to shoot a video, you start thinking to yourself, oh, I don't know how to do this. Oh, my words are going to come out funny. Oh, what would the people think of me? And you start to go around and around and around and around. And it's almost like an Ouroboros, right? You know that icon, a symbol of a snake or a dragon that's eating their own tail? That's what's happening. Like you're literally spinning your wheels as if you were stuck in the mud. So two things I learned a long time ago to help you figure that out. A lot of times this ruminating is based on past traumas, and I don't want to for 1 second belittle anybody's past traumas. But I have to remind you that you are not your traumas. You are not what you did. You are what you're doing. I know that's crazy, but what you did in the past is not what's happening right now. You got to live in the present. And in order to live in the present, you kind of got to be active and you got to be doing things. What happens when you stop moving is it's easy to go back and start thinking about what happened in the past. So one of the things that I learned is when you hear that inner voice, if you can, try to figure out where you first heard it. 9 times out of 10, these are not your thoughts. Somebody put them joints on you and you still do it. So that idea of not being good enough, if that's a thing that goes through your head, that was planted in your head a long time ago, normally by somebody in your family, somebody you dated, somebody close by, maybe even a friend that you no longer talk to. Oftentimes if you can identify what that was, it's helpful. But even if you can't, don't worry. What I learned, and this sounds so crazy, but what I learned was to change it into like a cartoon voice. So I would change my self-talk into like Lisa Simpson. And it's hard to pay attention to. You can't pay attention to that. Or the Charlie Brown teacher. If you change your negative self-talk into wah, 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 it becomes really hard to pay attention to, really hard to give it any sort of value. Could you imagine if all your negative talk came in a Bart Simpson or Lisa Simpson voice? Like it's next to, you just start laughing, or Cartman. Yeah, it wouldn't work. It just doesn't have that same level of impact. And the other thing I learned is, I guess, sort of for me, if I just blink and do it, I don't give that a chance to anchor itself in my head. So when it comes to content creation, let's put this into context. I come in my place, I sit down. My setup is set up and it's always on and it's always ready to go. So I don't have to go through the time of setting up the light, setting up the camera, sitting down, getting comfortable, doing all these things, because in that time frame is when you start to catastrophize, right? I sit down, flip a switch, go. If you're not necessarily that, able to have a dedicated space, make your setup a very, very routine, very, very ritualistic. Come in, sit down, put your cup right there, put your iPad right here, your pad right here, sit your screen, do a little quick check, check the lights. You know, I travel to Japan a lot. One thing the train guys do, you'll often see this. They'll check everything. They'll literally touch each individual item that they're supposed to check. Instead of like walking around with a clipboard and writing down that they did everything, they actually put hands on every single item. They touch it. There's almost a dance. That level of ritual is why they have so few accidents when it comes to things like train or bus and things like that. That's something that's more normal here because people get comfortable, they get cocky, they get complacent, and they don't do those steps. Every morning before work in Japan, they do something called a chore. They have a meeting, they do exercise, and all of that is about is having everybody's back. It's not just causing trouble. It literally is having everybody's back because you're doing these things together. So in a way, these rituals can help you. These rituals can help you keep your mind busy because idle hands, right? When the hands get idle, that's when you start doing the unnecessary work. So one way, and I challenge you to try this, one way you can mitigate some of that negative self-talk is get yourself in a position, set your things up, go write down your checklist, make everything, do it the way you do. You ever notice, you know me in my office, my man Big Poppy's right here, right? Always come up, clap the hands, open and close the gloves a couple times, right? Baseball players do it. Drivers do it when they get ready to go to NASCAR or to F1. Like people that go up to bat, you know, I said that already. Free throw shooter. Remember Kevin McHale used to hit one of these, right? It's if you follow a sort of routine, you're more likely to have a common outcome. Yeah, that's it. That's it. All right, I'm gonna close it right there. That is it. Don't let your mind have that time to wander. And when your mind does wander, start to train it to think about what are you doing? Celebrate your victories. I have other strategies when it comes to that, but I don't want to make this video too long. So let's start with that. Start with trying to build a routine or a ritual that allows you to just get in your groove and go straight to work through a followed process, give you less time to stress yourself out, freak out, catastrophize, and get, I hate this word, overwhelmed. There you go. If you like this video, press the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you can know whenever I add another video. I'm out here trying to teach us Gen X creators how to create content and share our stories with the world. I'm on a mission to get to 20,000 by the end of the year, and I'm going to go out swinging. So if you want to subscribe, go ahead and pop that button. If you want to join the channel and become a member of the LGL fam, we appreciate you for doing that as well. Right about now, the algorithm is going to show you another video they think you should watch. And of course, I agree with them.
I need to know everything. Who and the what and the where. I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George. I hop in the Porsche. It's 5 and a horse. I'm ready for war. I'm coming for throats to turn to a ghost. I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them talk, so I'm letting them talk. Gotta keep quiet.